Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Lepri of Stokastic.com, and in today's video, we're going to be going in depth into my week number 16 DK contenders, talking about my top 8 most optimal quarterbacks, running backs, wide receiver, and tight ends on the week for DraftKings. At number 8 is going to be the least optimal, and number 1, you guessed it, the most optimal. As you guys can tell, my voice is a little messed up. I'm a bit under the weather, but at the end of the day, we're still going to have fun breaking down these DraftKings contenders. Today's video is brought to you guys by BetMGM. We're going to be talking about it a little bit later. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 16. So almost the end of the season. DK contenders. We began with the quarterback position at number 8 with Geno Smith of the Seattle Seahawks going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, 5,800. At number 7, we have Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills going up against the Chicago Bears in Chicago, 8,500. At number 6, we have Tyler Huntley of the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Atlanta Falcons at home in Baltimore, 5,300. At number 5, where the true breakdown begins, we have Gardner Minshew of the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's World this week, 4,800 on DraftKings. Currently over on Stokastic, we have Gardner Minshew projected for 15.5 fantasy points. The team is 13th in implied point total with 21 there. 4.5 point dogs to the Dallas Cowboys. 9.1 optimal percentage with a 5.1 boom percentage. Now, we've yet to see Gardner Minshew be the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles all year, but last year he did start in a couple of games and played quite well up against the New York Jumbo Jets. Now, the Dallas Cowboys defense has been pretty mediocre over the last couple of weeks, though we do know, based upon how they've been all season, that the Dallas Cowboys have a pretty solid defense. The question here, will Gardner Minshew be able to get it done even up against a tough Dallas defense? Ultimately, I think he will be able to, especially at the price tag of 4,800. I love Gardner Minshew this week. At number 4, we have Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Cowboys, going up against the Eagles at home in Dallas, 6,100, projected for 18.2 fantasy points, 4th in implied point total, 25.5, 4.5 point favorites, 10 optimal percentage with a 5.9 boom percentage. The biggest worry about Dak Prescott has to be the fact that the team is just so efficient with running the rock with Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott that it almost feels like Dak Prescott doesn't have to have the craziest game ever for the Cowboys to beat the Eagles, especially since Jalen Hurts is out and Gardner Minshew is in. But at the end of the day, the Eagles have one of the best run defenses in the NFL when Davis is active, which he will be in this game. So I think the Cowboys will have to throw the ball. This is a very exciting game environment. At only 6,100, I also like Dak Prescott a bunch. At number 3, we see a big price increase here with Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs going up against the Seahawks at home in Kansas City, 8,400. Projected for 23.9 fantasy points. First in implied point total with 29.5. 10-point favorites, 10 optimal percentage with a 6.9. Very nice. I like boom percentage. My Borat voice is quite off because I'm a little bit sick, but it is what it is. So the Seahawks versus the Kansas City Chiefs should be a pretty fun game. The Kansas City Chiefs defense has been pretty mid as of recently. They kind of let the Texans hang around last week. Obviously, the Chiefs ended up winning. Mahomes has looked pretty solid as of recently, but he's probably going to win MVP, so I don't think anyone should be shocked that Mahomes is playing quite well. At 8,400, the price tag is a little bit crazy because of how much cheaper basically every other fucking quarterback is, but I get why we like Patrick Mahomes. It's because he's Patrick Mahomes. At number 2, we have Mr. You Like That, Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings going up against the New York Football Giants at home in Minnesota, 6,300, projected for 20 fantasy points, 3rd in implied point total with 26, 4-point favorites, 10.5 optimal percentage. He also has a 6.9, very nice, boom percentage. The Giants defense is about as soft as baby shit, so I really feel like this could be a big Kirk Cousins game. He looked really good last week up against the Colts for the part of the game where he looked good, because at the beginning he looked pretty bad. But at the end of the day, he had a pretty decent game this week going up against the Giants. I like Kirk Cousins a ton. I really do think this game has the upside to be sneaky high scoring because, again, the Vikings defense is really fucking bad. At number 1, we have Danny Dimes, quarterback of the Giants, going up against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, 5,600, projected for 19.8 fantasy points, 12th in implied point total with 22, 4-point dogs, woof woof, 12.7 optimal percentage with a 10.1 boom percentage. Again, the Vikings defense is soft as baby shit. The only issue with Daniel Jones is that the wide receiver core for the Giants are basically a bunch of fucking McDonald's employees. They don't really have a clear number one option. I mean, technically it's Darius Slayton, but they use Richie James. They use Isaiah Hodgins as well. They have Daniel Bellinger. So very interesting game environment, very interesting price, especially when baking in the fact that this guy has a ton of rushing upside. I like Daniel Jones a decent amount this week, but if we weren't going off of optimal percentage, my favorite quarterback this week right now, based upon where we're sitting on Friday, would be Kirk Cousins. Moving now to the running back position at number 8 with Isaiah Pacheco of the Chiefs going up against the Seahawks, 5,700. At 7, we got Miles Sanders of the Eagles going up against the Cowboys in Dallas, 6,200. At 6, we have Donta Foreman of the Panthers going up against the Lions at home in Carolina, 5,300. At number 5, we have Saquon Barkley of the Giants going up against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, 7,900. This guy ran train on the Commanders last week, projected for 18.2 fantasy points, 12th in implied point total, with 22 4-point dogs, 13.2 optimal percentage, 6.7 boom percentage. The Vikings defense actually isn't that bottom of the barrel up against the run. They are dick cheese against the pass. Ultimately, though, Saquon Barkley is such a big piece of this Giants offense as a whole, and even at the price of $7,900, which is quite the hefty price tag, I still like Barkley a ton. At number 4, we have Dalvin Cook, who at $7,200, even though the price tag isn't as high as Saquon Barkley, I'm a little bit off of Dalvin Cook, which might be a bad decision because, again, the Giants defense isn't the best against the run. 7,200 projected for 16.7 fantasy points, third in implied point total with 26. They're 4-point favorites, 14.3 optimal percentage, 6.9. Very nice. Boom percentage. So Dalvin Cook, outside of that one burst run last week, looked really bad. Dalvin Cook doesn't look like the Dalvin Cook of the past this season. Now, does that mean that Dalvin Cook is completely fucking washed up and can't perform up against the Giants defense? The answer to that would be no, but I'm just a little bit more cautious because he just isn't running as effectively as he has in the past. At number 3, we have the stooge of the Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson, going up against the Bengals, 7,100 this week at home in New England. Well, technically, he's not the biggest stooge. That would be Jacoby Myers, but what a play that was last week up against the Raiders. I can't do the Las Vegas Raiders stream because my throat might collapse on me. Projected for 17 fantasy points, 21st in implied point total with 19.25, tied with the Atlanta Titans, 3-point dogs, 15.6 optimal percentage with a 7.3 boom percentage. Ramondre Stevenson is the heart and soul of this Patriots offense. Mac Jones is playing bottom of the barrel. This guy's playing like dog shit. Stevenson is really the only way they're able to move the ball. Very effective pass catcher as well. Damian Harris's availability is up in the air. If Harris misses, I like Stevenson even more, but even if Harris is active in this game, I'm still a pretty big fan of Stevenson with how talented he is. The matchup against the Bengals obviously isn't necessarily the best on paper, but again, when it comes to Stevenson, he's cheaper than Dalvin Cook. He's cheaper than Saquon Barkley. He seems like a guy that I'm going to be heavily invested in this week. At number 2, we move to Derrick Henry of the Titans going up against the Texans. As we know, it's not difficult mathematics that you have to do to understand why Derrick Henry is really good against the AFC South, his division. This guy dominates 50 Shades of Grey style every single time he plays his division rivals. 8,600 on DraftKings this week, projected for 24.8 fantasy points. The team is 21st in applied point total with 19.25, tied with the Patriots. 3-point favorites, 35.3 optimal percentage, 24.1 boom percentage. I know you got to pay the big buckaroos to play Derrick Henry this week, but with Malik Willis under center, they're going to have to run a lot. Malik Willis looked awful when he had to play this season. Derrick Henry is going to get a hefty workload here up against a bottom-of-the-barrel Texans run defense, probably the worst run defense in the NFL. So you got to like Derrick Henry this week. I know he's a little expensive, and I can't even do my fucking voice that I always try to do. He's a little expensive, a little pricey, but if you're paying up at running back, my favorite option this week is Henry. At number 1 in terms of optimal percentage, we got CMC Dynamite. Christian McCaffrey of the Niners going up against the left hand up. Who are we? The Commanders. 8,800 on DraftKings this week. But before we break down CMC and the rest of the wide receivers, then the tight ends, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends, our sponsor over at BetMGM. They have a risk-free plus 2 months of Stokastic Platinum for free offer for you. All you got to do, simple, to get 2 free months of Stokastic Plus Platinum and up to $1,000 risk-free bet when you sign up. All you got to do, create a Stokastic membership using the form down below, or log in if you already have an account. Click on the large BetMGM button that appears after registering and log in. Then complete the necessary steps with BetMGM. You got to create a BetMGM sports account, deposit at least $10, make your first bet. Your bet must settle. Then you will qualify for a Stokastic subscription. After you have completed all of these steps, you receive an email from BetMGM Sportsbook with instructions for redeeming your 2 free months of Stokastic Plus Platinum. Click on the link in the video description for more details and how to sign up. Make sure you take advantage of this offer. It is great. You get the $1,000 risk-free bet, which is awesome. And you also get all of the tools that I talk about in the video. The optimal percentage, that's all in the tools and the projections, all that. So make sure you guys do check that out. Again, back to Christian McCaffrey. The Commanders will have Chase Young in this game, so a little bit tougher of a matchup, but ultimately with big cock Brock Purdy under center, this team, America runs on Duncan. This team runs on McCaffrey, projected for 25.7 fantasy points. 10th in implied point total, 22.25, tied with the Cincinnati Bungles. 7-point favorites, 39.3 optimal percentage, 27.4 boom percentage. Again, there is nothing as safe as throwing McCaffrey in your lineup. And the guy's floor is super high and his ceiling is blasting off through space into the fucking moon. McCaffrey looks like a smash play this week. I still like Henry a little bit more because he's $200 cheaper, but I still like McCaffrey a bunch this week. This slate is looking real sweet on Saturday. Normally, there are some players that we have as optimal that I'm not too sure about. This week, I'm really liking what our projections are spewing. At numero 8 at the wide receiver position, we move to the king of TikTok, Corvette, Juju Smith-Schuster of the Chiefs going up against the Seattle Seahawks in Kansas City, 5,800. At 7, we have the king of grits, first guy in, last guy out, Adam Thielen of the Vikings going up against the Giants, 5,300. At number 6, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions going up against the Carolina Panthers in Carolina, 7,800. Number 5, we have DK Metcalf of the Seahawks going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, 7,100. Without Tyler Lockett in my pocket, there's going to be a heavy dosage of targets going to DK Metcalf, obviously, because now the number 2 behind him is Marquise Goodwin. Goodwin, not the worst player on earth, but DK Metcalf's way better. Chiefs defense, kind of people say they're sneaky good. I'm not too sure about that. So DK looks like he's in a big spot, projected for 16.2 fantasy points, 18th in implied point total, tie with the Jumbo Jets and the Broncos. 10-point dogs, 15.3 optimal percentage for Metcalf, 8.1 boom percentage. While Geno Smith hasn't looked the best as of recently, again, without Tyler Lockett, you just have to think that the offensive game plan is just to force the rock to Metcalf, and I think he should have a relatively solid game at number 5 in terms of optimal percentage for the week. Moving to number 4, we have a wide receiver I hinted at a little bit earlier, Isaiah Hodgins of the Giants going up against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, 4,100, projected for 11.5 fantasy points, 12th in implied point total with 22, 4-point dog, 17.3 optimal percentage with an 8.1 boom percentage. Obviously, the price tag appears to be right here with Isaiah Hodgins. Now, in terms of ranking the wide receivers on the team, I would say he's probably number 3 behind Darius Slayton, as well as Ricky James. But the Vikings defense, again, bottom of the barrel. Wouldn't even wipe my ass with a defense that bad. So I think Hodgins has a lot of upside here, especially if you're going with the Danny Dimes stack. At number 3, we have CD Lamb, the Lamster of the Dallas Cowboys, going up against the Eagles at home in Dallas, 7,500, projected for 17.5 fantasy points, 4th in implied point total with 25.5, 4.5-point favorite, 17.8 optimal percentage, 11.1 boom percentage. CD Lamb's been pretty hit or miss as of recently, despite the fact that the Cowboys look really good. It's like they're just not throwing the ball as much. It's pretty frustrating. T.Y. Hilton's expected to be active in this game. They have Michael Gallup, Noah Brown as well. The Eagles have a really good defense, so unless you're going with Dak, I don't really think jamming CD into your lineups is that smart of a move this week, in my opinion, but maybe I'm wrong, and the Cowboys just fucking smash the Eagles like an insect. I don't think that's going to happen, though. At number 2, we got Justin Jefferson, Jay Jettas of the Vikings, going up against the Giants, 9,300? Wowzers. Projected for 22.7 fantasy points, 3rd in implied point total with 26, 4-point favorites, 19.6 optimal percentage, 14.7 boom percentage. I like the matchup a ton. The price tag's a little scary. Let's be honest here. We know why it's so expensive. It's because you like that, baby. This is a great matchup. Love Kirk Chains this week and Justin Jefferson, obviously. At number 1, we have Wiki DJ Moore of the Panthers going up against the Lions. 5,500, projected for 14.4 fantasy points, 16th in implied point total with 20.25, tied with the Steelers. 3-point dogs, 21 output percentage, 11.9 boom percentage. Wet dream matchup. The Lions defense has looked good against the run recently, still not the best against the pass. 5,500. DJ Moore's on a tear with Sam Darnold under center. It seems like he's going to be a pretty chalk play, though, just because of the price tag and the matchup and how he's played with Darnold. But there's some chalk I'm eating, like how Jameis Winston eats a fucking W here. Now we pivot to the tight end position. At number 8, we got David Njoku of the Browns going up against the Saints. 4,300 at 7. Daniel Bellinger of the Giants going up against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. 3,300 at 6. We have Dallas Goedert of the Eagles going up against the Cowboys in Dallas. 4,500. At number 5, we have Hayden Hurst of the Bengals going up against the Patriots in New England. 3,200. Projected for 7.5 fantasy points. 10th in implied point total with 22.25. Tied with the 49ers. 3-point favorites. 8 optimal percentage. 5 boom percentage. The Patriots defense kind of looks like they're spiraling in a downward spiral recently. Hurst himself, when he's played this season, is really touchdown dependent. They can score a bunch of touchdowns against the Patriots, so I get why we like him based upon the price tag, but he is kind of risky. At number 4, we have Mark Andrews of the Ravens going up against the Falcons, 5,500. Oh, no, man. This guy's been so bad as of recently. Projected for 12.3 fantasy points, 14th in implied point total, 20.5, tied with the Colts, 6.5-point favorites, 11.6 optimal percentage, 8.5 boom percentage. Wet dream matchup. The Falcons defense is so bad. So bad. The price tag's amazing. But how many weeks are we going to get 50 Shades of Grey style dominated by Mark Andrews when we put him in our lineups? He's just been so disappointing. I hope he bounces back. I get why we got him ranked so high. It makes sense. 5,500, one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Great matchup. Problem is he just hasn't gotten it done recently. Before we move on into the rest of the tight ends and close out today's video, I'd also like to let you guys know that we have an NFL 3 days for free promotion going on right now. All you got to do is click on the link in the video description down below. If you're a new user, you'll get full access to everything NFL Stokastic has to offer. Our projections, DFS ownership, 1v1 tools, lineup generator, top stacks tool, all risk-free. Link in the video description. It's a way to test drive things, right? You're not going to fucking buy a car without test driving it. So why would you buy Stokastic Plus Platinum without test driving it? So make sure you guys check that out. Link in the video description. It's free. It's free, so why not check it out? Moving to now tight end number 3, we get to Monsieur TJ Hawkinson of the Minnesota Vikings going up against the Giants, 4,900. Projected for 12.4 fantasy points, 3rd in implied point total with 26, 4-point favorites, 15.5 optimal percentage, 12.4 boom percentage. This is a spot I really like. I've been stacking Kirk with Hawkinson over the last couple of weeks. It hasn't necessarily been the best, but I really like this game environment. I really like this game. At number 2, we got Travis Kelce of the Chiefs going up against the Seahawks, $8,000, projected for 18.4 fantasy points, 1st in implied point total, 29.5, 10-point favorite, 16 optimal percentage, 15.6 boom percentage. I don't have to do some crazy fucking sham wow, is that what they're called? Just some crazy spiel here on My Pillow. Why you have to no free ads though. Why you have to play, or why you would want to play Kelce this week, right? Best tight end in the NFL. Safest tight end to play every week. Biggest upside to play every week. Playing against Seattle. Not the best defense. Makes sense. Number 1, numero uno, Dalton Schultz of the Cowboys going up against the Eagles, 4,200. Projected for 11.6 fantasy points, 4th in implied point total, 25.5, 4.5-point favorites, 18 optimal percentage, 13.3 boom percentage. Again, I like Dalton Schultz every fucking week, but he hasn't really been popping off recently. We've been seeing a lot of Noah Brown, a lot of running the rock, and it's really frustrating. This is a great matchup for points. It reeks of points. You can smell it through the screen. Now, I can't smell it because my nose is all fucking clogged up, but you could smell it right through the screen. Dalton Schultz against the Eagles. Makes sense. I like it a bunch. I'm going to play it a bunch. Let's see if it works out. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting that like button. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. I'll be back next week with these videos as well, but I won't be fucking sick, so I'll sound a little bit better. I love you guys all so much. Hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. Make sure you check out that BetMGM link in the video description. Love you guys all so much, and as always, good boy.